Hi guys, welcome back to my channel at Modern Maternity, so definitely follow me on Instagram. So to give you guys an update, where I left off last time was after my egg retrieval. And so the doctor retrieved 7 eggs, and when I told you last time, all 7 were mature and all 7 fertilized. So on day 3 of fertilization, all 7 were doing well when I got that call. As far as day 5, that is such the critical day because that's when the embryos become blastocysts, and that's when, like we can send them out for testing or they can be transferred. So day 5, he called and said we had one was ready to be tested, and he said that one other one and possibly 2 other ones could be tested the next day. So he sent out that one embryo to be tested, and they have a rapid testing system with this company called iGenomics. And so literally we had our transfer planned for 10:30 a.m. the next day. He was like, wait for my call between 9 and 10. So it's like literally on standby as to whether or not this embryo will be normal or abnormal and if I could come in. I also had my acupuncturist on standby because I was gonna try acupuncture this time before and after transfer. So he called me at 9 a.m. the next morning, and he was like, the embryo was normal, and I was like, yay. It was like a miracle. And I said, well, how was the grading? And so the day before, he had told me the grading was a 3AA, and I was like, amazing. We actually haven't had an AA embryo since my son. And so I asked him, oh, did the grading go up? Because usually it'll go up or it'll grow more between the 5th and the 6th day. And he's like, well, actually it went down. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, no, it's a 3 BB. But obviously it was still transferable because that's still considered a good embryo to transfer. I know a lot of clinics, if there's a C in the grading, they don't even transfer it at all. So I was like, okay, this is good news. But I was, kind of hesitant because of how the grading went down. But anyways, I just wanted to go through the embryo transfer positively, and I was really excited. So I dropped my son off at daycare. My husband met me at the office after my acupuncture. So first, if you guys have never had acupuncture before embryo transfer, just wanted to give you a little bit of, what I personally experienced. And so I got there at 9:45 a.m. She told me to arrive 45 minutes before my scheduled embryo transfer. And they actually had me take my 2 Valium then. And then I was sort of like, how do I time out my water consumption? Because you're supposed to have a full bladder before your transfer. I didn't want to have it too full to where I really needed to go pee right before. So the nurse suggested that I drink like about half of my water bottle, and then kind of like halfway through acupuncture, drink the rest. So I was like, okay. And I took my 2 Valium because, as I told you guys before, I've had 2 ectopic pregnancies, and the doctor doesn't want to risk my uterus contracting. And so it's not just for me to feel amazing in my brain, but for my uterus to just be like calm and relaxed and not have any chance of contracting. So I did that 45 minutes before. I saw my acupuncturist, and I want to say she put in maybe 12 needles, just all around my body. There were a couple in my ear, one on my forehead, some on my legs, my feet, on my forearm area. None of them hurt. They're literally even smaller than the diabetes needles, and they go in not very much. So especially if you've done IVF, it's not at all a big deal. It almost feels like she's just sort of going like this to your skin when she does it, which that even hurts worse than what it really feels like. So if you're afraid of needles and stuff, don't be afraid of acupuncture. It really is not at all like a real needle. So yeah, and then that was super relaxing because the Valium was kicking in. It helped me, just get focused and just think good thoughts and be super relaxed before the transfer, which I thought was really helpful. And then while the needles were in, she actually gave me a foot massage. So I was like, okay, this is nice. A little pampering before transfer. And then before I knew it, they were calling me in. My husband had arrived. Because of COVID, with the procedures, partners can only come in for transfers and like first and second ultrasounds, like after the baby is in and stuff. So it was really cool to have my husband there finally, because at this point I've been doing egg retrievals by myself and everything else by myself. So it was really nice to have him there. And actually on the last transfer, he wasn't able to be there because of a situation with our daycare and our son and because of COVID. So it was nice to have him there this time. And oh, let me give you, show you a picture of our embryo. So this is our lovely embryo that they put in. And yeah. And if you're wondering why it's red, I actually wondered that myself because I've never had a colored picture before from them. So they started doing this color coding where they identify people's embryos with the color on the paper. So like, you know, let's say someone comes in after me, like their color would be purple. So I was like, oh, that's cool that they have a color identification system now, which is nice just for extra security that the right embryo is going into the right person. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, the transfer went really well. I was super chill and yeah, I mean, he saw my uterus really well. I made sure I drank enough water and yeah, nothing was out of the ordinary or anything. I mean, before on some previous transfers, like one time the embryologist literally took 10 minutes to load the catheter and he was like, oh, it's because of bubbles, and it just had me like worried. That was the one where my husband couldn't be in. And then one time they were putting it in, but then he lost, my uterus moved, or I don't know, something happened to where he couldn't see a good picture. So he literally, I think, put it in blindly that time. But then he put in the transvaginal ultrasound afterwards to see if that little solution that it shows this like white solution moving through the catheter. And that's like where the embryo is. So then he took a picture of that to make sure it was in there. But so there's been a couple of funky transfers that I've had, but this one went really well and I was happy with that. And then afterwards, the nurse set a timer for 12 minutes and I just laid flat on my back for 12 minutes, and then my husband left, and then I went back to see the acupuncturist, and she did some new, like, different points this time, which one actually did kind of bother me. It was like right there. Actually, there's still a little bit of a dot where the little needle was, and that one kind of bothered me. And she did say like, well, you kind of want to have this sort of like slight pressure, slight painish. So she says it was hitting in the right place, but I don't know, that one just seemed to bother me for some reason. But I was super relaxed, and she ended up not really giving my feet a massage this time, but just like holding them and keeping them warm. So that was nice. And I don't know if I explained this before, but acupuncture, supposedly they did this study where if you did acupuncture directly before and after embryo transfer, that there was a higher rate of pregnancy and live birth rate. So like I said, I'm just putting out all the stops this time, and I was like, sure, let's just do it. It wasn't covered by my insurance, so I paid $350 out of pocket, which is kind of pricey. But if you're thinking about her like being on standby and she's driving across town and you don't have to go anywhere before and after, she's like right there. I thought, you know, this is fair enough. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it makes or breaks an embryo transfer. You know, I obviously got pregnant with my son and I didn't do acupuncture with him. So anyways, I just figured I'd try it and see what was up. Yeah, and I also wanted to mention, so that night I started Lovenox, and that was something different with my protocol. So that's a blood thinner, and it's supposed to prevent miscarriages and help with implantation. So I started that, and it comes in these like pre-filled syringes. And they're literally like the 27 gauge needles that you do during stim medications. So that doesn't bother me at all. The only thing is when you put it in your stomach or upper thigh, so subcutaneously. It does burn after you put it in for about 5 to 10 minutes after. I had a friend who was on Lovenox as well, and she said that if you ice it before, that really helps. I decided not to do that. I was like, no, it's fine. But she says it helps and stuff. So I guess I don't really mind the burning sensation afterwards, but just an FYI in case you do Lovenox. So, and they also said it causes bruising, but I haven't really had any bruising from it yet. I did have one injection a couple nights ago where it must have hit a blood vessel and I had some blood come out, but it didn't hurt, but I had some gauze ready for that. So yeah, so that night I started Lovenox. I had my progesterone and oil, and my doctor has it where I do 2 cc of progesterone and oil once a week, and then the rest of the week I do 2 progesterone suppositories, 400 milligram, one in the morning and one in the evening. So yeah, so that was my protocol, and then also folic acid in the morning. And yeah, so everything went well for embryo transfer. I just chilled the rest of the day. I did a little bit of work on my laptop, but that was pretty much it. And then as far as 2-week wait symptoms, there wasn't too much of note in the first 3 days. I think I was hungry the first day, and I don't know how my boob was tingling. I don't know. Nothing really of note. But definitely the 4th day after transfer, so that day I had the worst headache start around noon, and I was pretty much incapacitated for the rest of the day. I didn't want to take any acetaminophen, and they said that's safe during pregnancy, but I just don't want to risk anything, and I think, it's like your body telling you should rest. So the only time I'd really feel better is when I was resting. And so I literally took like a 2-hour nap that day. And I was like, okay, maybe this is, part of pregnancy symptoms, because I never get headaches. And then another symptom that I had was I've definitely started getting like pulling and almost leg cramping. I don't want to say cramping because I feel like that's too strong of a word, but it's almost like, it was weird, like these like lightning sensations. Like one time I even like yelled out because I was like, whoa, what's going on down there? So I just feel like it was something going on in my uterus and my lower abdomen. So that was definitely a telltale sign. I think the headache, and then just being super tired. The next day, which is 5 days after my 6-day embryo transfer, I had the same abdominal sensations as well. Like, okay, something's happening down there. I felt better as far as being not fatigued. I think I slept a lot the previous day, and I was literally pretty much incapacitated that day. I was so tired and from the headache and everything. But yeah, so everything has been going well. I will keep you guys updated about my beta, and be sure to follow me on Instagram under @modernmaternity, and I'll keep you guys updated with everything. I'm really excited. Everything went well with the transfer, and so far I'm just trying to keep a positive outlook. All right, talk to you guys later.